Hey, my name is Jonathan, and I am a radical peace activist, and I'm a pacifist, and I am vehemently opposed to all war. I am so radical that I challenge anyone who supports the military in any way to come find me and kill me, since you pretty much have to be an honest person. You support war making, but I am opposed to it. Therefore, since I am your adversary, your weapon is a gun, but my weapon as a pacifist is to be without a gun. If you do not kill me, that pretty much makes you a hypocrite. But either way, my stance makes me the best candidate for potentially showing more dedication to the Pentagon and the war on terror than the most pro-war, gun-toting redneck. It's called the Stockholm Syndrome. It's if either pro-war Americans or the government wants me to be more patriotic, all they really need to do is torture me. Torture my body. Torture my body. I could say you cannot get inside me and change me. You cannot change my values. But you really could. You really could if you tortured me. If you torture me, I guarantee I'll be on the front lines of any U.S.-led war, and I will sing the Star-Spangled Banner louder than the most patriotic, louder than a patriotic version of Richard Simmons. If the U.S. government wants more Americans to be supportive of the actions of the Pentagon, they just need to torture all the anti-war activists, creating an elevated class of patriotic Americans. To illustrate what I'm saying, to illustrate this, I'm going to read the last couple paragraphs of George Orwell's 1984. Under the table, Winston's feet made convulsive movements. He had not stirred from his seat. But in his mind, he was running, swiftly running. He was with the crowds outside, cheering himself deaf. He looked up again at the portrait of Big Brother, the colossus that bestrode the world, the rock against which the hordes of Asia dashed themselves in vain. He thought how 10 minutes ago, yes, only 10 minutes, there had still been equivocation in his heart as he wondered whether the news from the front would be a victory or a defeat. It was more than a Eurasian army that had perished. Much had changed in him since the first day in the ministry of love. But the final, indispensable healing change had never happened until this moment. The voice from the telescreen was still pouring its tales of prisoners and booty and slaughter, but the shouting outside had died down a little. The waiters were turning back to their work. One of them approached with the gin bottle. Winston, sitting in a blissful dream, paid no attention as his glass was filled up. He was not running or cheering any longer. He was back in the ministry of love, with everything forgiven, his soul as white as snow. He was in the public dock, confessing everything, implicating everybody. He was walking down the white tiled corridor with the feeling of walking in sunlight, an armed guard at his back. The long hoped-for bullet was entering his brain, his imagination. He gazed up at the enormous face, Big Brother. 40 years it had taken him to learn what kind of smile was hidden beneath the dark mustache. Oh, cruel, needless misunderstanding. Oh, stubborn, self-willed exile from the loving beast. 2 gem-singered tears trickled down the side of his nose. But it was all right. Everything was all right. The struggle was finished. He had won the victory over himself. He loved Big Brother. Stockholm Syndrome, if you torture me, I will not be a peace activist anymore. I will not ever oppose any U.S.-led wars. I will be on board with whatever the Pentagon does if you torture me. That's all I wanted to say. Bye.